Okay. So, so your question was, can people have a city that's their primary city that is not in the computer or not in the database? Which is a totally legit question. If I were doing this as a production project, I would have people choose cities the same way I have people choose cities on My Heavens. You may have noticed that here, when people enter a city, if I start saying Berkeley, it gives me a drop-down list. I use Google Maps for this, right? And notice if I try to do this without, it's like, sorry, you need to use autocomplete. Because when you choose stuff from that drop-down, JavaScript variables get populated. So that's probably what I would do to keep people from somebody doing Nashville with one L, somebody doing Nashville with two L's, right? And then I would put the city in my database if it wasn't already there. Or maybe I would just put the Google ID here. But I probably would put it in the database. Yeah, how did you choose to handle it?
So yeah, I chose to, I kept my cities and my users separate because I wanted a user to be able to sign up with a city that wasn't on the list of 3.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
City, and I just stored it separately as like, you know, user city or whatever.
As a string or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How did other people deal with it?
Yeah, me too. I like the user can be from any city, but so far he can only review these 3 cities.
Okay.
These are my connection.
Okay, anybody else have a strategy that they used? Okay, let's, for our MVP, we'll just make that. Right, so somebody can put Nashville and another person can put Nashville, Tennessee, and if we want to see everybody who's from Nashville, we're a little screwed. But that's what we're doing for our MVP. Okay, so let's decided to let user enter arbitrary string for primary city rather than associating city ID and cities. Okay. Taking notes like this, by the way, is really good for, I'm going to go to My Heavens again, but this time the GitHub README. I've shown a lot of you this README that I have for My Heavens. So if I go to my profile, My Heavens is one of my sort of showcase portfolio projects. It's pinned, and I have an incredibly extensive README, right? And this README, a lot of it is because I took notes while I was making the project. I took notes on things that I wanted to put in the README. Okay. So let's go back here. Okay, and okay, so cool. Posts, we said, was kind of like a user's cities table because it's associating user IDs with city IDs. And in the form of posts, a user can post for many cities and a city can be posted on for many users. Comments, same thing. A user can make comments for many posts, and a post can have comments by many users. And I think that's all the tables that we need. A comment can have only one post, and a comment can have only one user. A post can have only one city, and a post can have only one user. So I'm feeling good about these relationships. But when you're making your tables, it's good to just like check the relationships and check the relationships. Okay, users. So we want an ID. ID is going to be a serial primary key. What does serial mean? Auto increment. What does primary key mean? Has to be unique.
It's what another table will reference.
And it's what another table will reference. Okay, so if I just care that it was unique, I could just do this, right?
But as the primary key, when you're joining tables, it looks for the primary key?
Not true. You can join tables, and as a matter of fact, when I join tables, I'm not going to be joining the primary key of both tables.
So you're not joining when another table is referencing that.
True. There's another thing about primary keys is that it's not null. You cannot have a row that has a null primary key. It is a unique identifier for every row. Can you make a table without a primary key? You can. Should you make a table without a primary key? No, you should always have a primary key. When you are working on your project and you have 10 other engineers and you want to refer to a row in a table, you want to refer to it by primary key. Okay, so users need an ID. What else do they need? Let's look back at our specs. What else does a user table need? Okay, yeah, so username. Do we need to do first name and last name, or should we just do name? Just name. Why am I choosing these numbers, 64 and 128? Yeah, they are powers of 2. And if I choose powers of 2, I am going to get the most storage I can for a certain number of bits, right? So if I choose 2, then I need only 1 bit. The bit is either on or off. If I choose 4, then I need 2 bits. I need 1 bit, like there's 4 combos of those 2 bits being on or off. There are 8 combos of 3 bits being on or off. There are 16 combos of 4 bits being on or off. And if I choose 12, you still need those 4 bits. You need 4 bits to get 12 different combos. If I choose 16, I'm maximizing the number that I can get for the number of bits that's allocated. So I just automatically do powers of 2 here.
So with VARCHAR, like instead of like the 148, it can be like 256, because usually I see 255.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So 255 is common if you're 0 indexed.
Yeah.
But this is not 0 indexed. This is 1 indexed, right?
So 256 would be the highest, like, I mean, to maximize the.
To maximize, yeah, 256. Yeah. Did you have a question?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Like, why are you obviously 255?
Yeah.
And but how do you 0 index?
Well, basically, if I want an array that has 64 items in it, my top index is going to be 63.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 0 index. It starts with 0 and it goes to 63.
Right. So that's what it looks like.
No, you might be right, Kelsey. It might be no, because 2 bits does have 4 combinations, right? If you, sorry, Cam, we're gonna multi-purpose here, right? Because here are my 2 bits, and one combo is both off. One combo is this off, this on. One combo is this on, this off, and then one combo is both on. So you can get 4 combinations, not 3 out of that. But the thing is, if you're counting 0 as one of your numbers, which computer scientists often do, you can only get 0, 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, 3, 4. But with lengths of strings, they start at 1.
But you always see I always see the 255 in a string. It's like a name column or something like that.
Let's do a little bit of research on this. Right, we're not the only ones who have asked this. Why do people use 255 and not 256 for database field magnitudes? Because character count, because you can have 0 characters. You can have a 0 character string. A value of length 0 is certainly valid. Okay, so when I was saying it starts with 1, I was totally wrong. Ah, 255 was the VARCHAR limit. 255 characters plus a null terminator. 24 people like that answer, but 124 people like this answer. Single byte unsigned integer, assuming 8-bit bytes. Right, okay. So basically, what I'm getting from this is that you do have to account for a 0 length. So I'm actually, by adding this 1, I'm requiring another bit. So let's do 63 and 127. I was talking to a learner yesterday who has some shame around exposing ignorance, which is completely natural. Everybody has shame around exposing ignorance. But there is so much that everybody is ignorant about in computer science, including me, on this stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know if you went over it, but why would you choose VARCHAR over text?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Why would you choose VARCHAR over text? And the answer is, with today's amount of storage, it doesn't matter so much. But text automatically allocates a pretty large amount of storage. Whereas if you know that your value is going to be limited to a number of characters, then it is more storage efficient to just allocate a smaller amount. Yeah.
Can't you use character limits with text as well?
Can you? Ugh, ignorance all over the place. Okay. All right, if a VARCHAR, the type accepts strings of any size, the text type, which stores strings of any length. Okay. Well, no. There is no difference. Under the hood, it's all varlen a variable length array. Look at this article if you want. Character n takes too much space when dealing with values shorter than n. It can lead to subtle errors because of adding trailing spaces. Okay, so don't use that. VARCHAR n, it is problematic to change the limit in a live environment. VARCHAR without an n is just like text. And this person declares text the winner it lacks their problem and over VARCHAR because it has a distinct name versus like VARCHAR and VARCHAR-N. The article does detailed testing to show that the performance of inserts and selects for all 4 data types are similar. Takes a detailed look at alternate ways of constraining the length when needed. Okay, so like one advantage to this is like you'll get an error if you try and add a value that's over, but there are alternate ways to constrain the length. Function-based constraints or domains provide the advantage of instant increase of the length constraint. So if you decide that you want a 64 character string now, but in the future 128 character string, you don't have to migrate your database, which is a huge pain in the neck. And on the basis that decreasing a string length constraint is rare, this fine person concludes that one of them is usually the best choice for a length limit. Okay. So I'm guessing that actually what I was saying about the storage is wrong. Oh, interesting. Changing the size of a VARCHAR-N no longer triggers a table rewrite, so the arguments against it are now mostly irrelevant as of Postgres 9.2. I think everybody is basically making it so that all of these are the same except for CHAR-N, which nobody seems to like. So, but from this, nobody is talking about that space thing that I just mentioned. So I'm actually going to assume, just based on this, that I'm wrong about that. And I'm going to start just doing text.
I still see lots of use VARCHAR.
I think it's because they're old like me, and yeah, that's my guess.
There was one footnote in there that talks about text. Somebody could come in and store all kinds of information in there, since there's no limit.
But the thing is, there are other ways
Put a check on it.
to constraining the length when needed, right? Yeah, so you would be more responsible for constraining the length, but it also would be more flexible. Although this person, as of almost 2 years ago, you guys, 2016 was a long time ago. This person is saying that you can actually change the length of the VARCHAR without much consequence. So, yeah, if you reduce the size, you might be in trouble. Yeah, but that would cause some problems regardless, unless you were willing to let legacy things of big length stay. Anyway, oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious, as far as constraining the length or doing any other constraints. I've just Googled it and learned that you can use check. Check is like, and then you can say like length is greater than whatever, or, whatever SQL thing to limit it. Is that kind of the normal way to do things with check? Or?
Yeah. So this apparently this article takes a detailed look on ways of constraining the length. The answer is I don't really know. But I'm going to put a link to this article so in the README so that people who are interested can read more. I am also interested, but I also am interested in finishing this project before 2019. So I'm just going to put it in the README, and I'm going to say, let's see. All right, so cool. So you can just look at that if you want. Okay. Okay, so all right, so we have the name. So I'm convinced we're doing everything in text. So we're going to do ID, we're going to do name, we're going to do username, right? Because there was some username. We're going to do password, email, should we make the username just the email? Does the name need to be unique?
I think it wasn't as strange as like my username.
Yeah, the username needs to be unique, but if there are two Amy Smiths, as there were in my college, you know, like that's fine.
They also want to add a date join.
Date joined. What should we call that one? I am pretty firmly in the camp that all date fields should be _@. Joined at, created at, modified at. It defines it as a date field. That's a strong convention. Yeah.
Your green borders.
Thank you for noticing that. I wonder what happened. All right, so I'm still recording, but somehow my screen share stopped. Oh, this is very sad. Okay, so let's, I'm just gonna stop. Okay, I think it still was sharing the screen and just somehow not showing the border, but whatever. Okay, so joined at. What data type we're gonna make joined at? Yeah, what's the difference between date and timestamp?
So, from what I understood, timestamp just automatically gets populated, but I know later on down the line I had trouble like formatting it and getting the information out. That could have just been me. So I changed it to date.
Okay. Other comments on date versus timestamp? Yeah, date. I don't believe date stores the time. It just stores the date. Do we care about the time? No, we don't want to give people the millisecond that they no. What does the default now do? Yeah, do you put current date? God, I can't remember. Is it default current date? Can you?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. All right, so either works.
Now gives milliseconds, so I guess
It just won't store it. Yeah.
User image. We store it in there.
Can you store an image in the database? What data type would it be if you stored the image in the database? Binary. I actually worked at a company. The company I worked at for 11 years, we did store images in, it was a MySQL database. Here, oh, go ahead.
In Postgres, the binary database is called byte A. What is the correct pronunciation?
I don't know.
Byte A.
Let's see. Byte A. Yeah, I don't think it's by T, although that would be good. image OID. That's the Large Object API. What does OID stand for? Maybe. Okay. And then, so this is all large object. Okay. So this would all be good if I were going to be storing the images on my computer. But I'm not. So I'm just going to store it as a URL. Are there any of these that we need to make not null?
Name, email,
I don't think we have to put a not null here because if it defaults to current date, it's never going to be null. Do we care whether the image URL is null? No, that can be null. What about the primary city? Yeah, let's force them to do that. Okay. We good on the user? Half an hour, one table. All right. That's for sure. Okay. All right, I'm just going to put this ID primary key on all of them. So, okay, so cities. What does city need? Name, and that'll be a text. Yeah, now that's a great question, Fode. Does it need the ID from the reviews? Well, I can't put it in this table, right? Because if I put post ID here, why is that a problem?
But what about the reviews? Oh, is it post is a review, I guess?
Yeah, the post is a review.
Yeah.
But if I put it here, one problem is that the post table isn't created till after. But even if I created the post table before, why is it a problem for me to put post ID here? If the city has many posts, I'm screwed, right? It needs to have city ID in the posts table.
Sure.
But that's definitely an exercise, and never stop thinking about stuff like that while you're making your table. Like test it out. Test out your assumptions about your relationships for sure.
I also added in the city column like city info, so that not to like have it right away on the page. Some information about city.
Oh, okay. So
not to put it in there.
I'll call it a description. Yeah.
Is that description the same as what's going to be in the post table? Because that's where the description of the city is.
Let's look back at our wireframes. So where do you see the description, or is it not in the wireframes? Is it just in the specs?
I didn't see anything about a city description.
Oh yeah, so I think basically on the city page, I think Muta's just thinking maybe it's not one of the specs, but just thinking we might want to post an image and then say London, world city with a British edge, or whatever, right?
Or like in your table too, there's like a London, Texas, or like, you know what I mean? You could add a helpful.
Oh yes, that too, right? And this is why, by the way, you want to. This is why you want to be dealing with standardized city stuff, right? When somebody says London, you want them to choose, which London they're talking about. Because again, here, this actually makes me actively uncomfortable, right? Because first of all, Nashville could be in here twice. Yeah, well, yeah, and somebody could just put Springfield, and you'd have no idea what Springfield they were talking about. there's no there's no there's no just distinguisher, like there's no need for somebody to put the country, but we don't know what country. I mean, like, this is like super upsetting to me. Yeah, so a better solution would be to right, to like actually have an ID, right?
So are we giving the user the power to edit the cities table now?
Right, and that's a legit question. For this project, only we are adding to the cities table, so maybe we don't care. Another thing we can do, and especially if we are planning on doing the stretch goal of showing it on a map, right? There was that stretch goal of to view them as maps on the city's homepage. Let's do a latitude and a longitude. There's all sorts of Google Map stuff that we're probably not going to get to because, I mean, that's sort of secondary to what we're doing here. But okay, anything else we want to do with city? Yeah.
We want like a pretty URL version of the name.
What do you mean?
It's one of the stretch goals as well. It's like, you know, if you're going to San Francisco page, make it /san-san.
Oh,
So that would have to be unique.
I see.
And not-
I see. So URL string like that.
That'd just be in the route, though.
Well, it would be in the route. So I think why Celeste is suggesting this is what if we had, for example, Springfield, right? So that's one example. If we had Springfield here and the URL string was just Springfield and we put another Springfield in here and the URL string, we don't want both cities to have the same URL string because they should go to different locations, right? So if we have Springfield, Illinois and Springfield, Massachusetts, then for one of them we could have Springfield like this and the other one Springfield like that.
It's also just thousands of cities. You want to write thousands of routes.
Oh, you definitely don't want to write the routes. Yeah, but you could just use the name and sort of like have some algorithm that change the name into something pretty for URLs. But if you had two cities with the same name in here, that would be a problem. We also could do this, which might not be a bad idea. And then maybe we could just have an algorithm.
Should name also be not null.
Definitely. Cool. Anything else on the cities table?
We might want the image URL associated with the city.
Okay. Posts. Now we're getting foreign keys. Oh, it has a title too, right?
Add the text.
Anything else?
You might want to.
Well, that's a timestamp instead of just a date. Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm gonna do the now on that because I don't know whether current date is going to give me a time.
I put default and then current.
Oh, current timestamp. Great. All right. Anything else for the posts?
Timestamp isn't like an automatic.
No. No. If we, yeah, that's a great question. If we have, oh, you mean like the title or the body? Yeah, we do.
I remember one of the goals being like the title had to be like less than 200 as well.
Let's do that then. All right, we feeling good about this? Less than 200? Like that.
So why not fix for the time?
What's that?
So why not fix for the time?
James was saying that one of the goals is that the title has to be less than 200 characters. Must be between 1 and 200 characters. Okay.
I've had a thing where if it has to be one character, I don't have client side constraint. I have to put a check in there to tell it that it has to be greater than. It can't be 2 empty quotes, basically.
Right. It can't be an empty string. How do we do that? How do we let's what were you gonna say, Kelsey?
You write check after the row. Yeah, just like that.
Cool. I'm telling you guys, when I was your age, there was no Stack Overflow.
It's in the same line as the thing. Not, I should have said not just like that. That's, well, I mean, that might work, but
oh, it's in, okay, got it. Yeah, that I didn't like that. Okay.
Is that not equal?
Yeah, it's got to either be greater than or less than, which is weird, but it's, yeah, not equal.
I just use not equal.
Like this.
Yeah.
God, we're learning so much very slowly. Okay. So, cool. Anything else on the posts table? All right. Oh, and we should actually make sure that the city ID is, I didn't give it a type, which is bad. What type does it have to be? And I want to make it not null.
So I'm just wondering, because we ran into this issue yesterday.
Yeah.
Thinking about like post deletion down the line and the fact that we're referencing other tables, do we need to start putting cascade on delete?
Oh, no. So I actually, let's talk about that. So, if I have a line in the posts table and it references a city, and I delete that line, that is not going to be a problem. Because it's okay for a city to exist in the database and not have any posts that refer to it. That's okay. It would be a problem if I had a post that references a city and I try and delete that city. Then I'm going to come up against big problems. Referential integrity. Referential integrity means this can't reference something that doesn't exist in the cities table. And so it means that I can't delete stuff in the cities table because that would mean it doesn't reference something in the cities table. It also means I can't add a city ID that doesn't exist in the cities table.
But if we were creating comments and then we delete a post that a comment is attached to that post, that's
then you have to make sure, yes. So here, I cannot delete a post that references comments unless you use Cascade. Yeah. Otherwise I'm gonna violate referential integrity. I'm gonna have a post ID here that doesn't exist in the post table. Once again, our time was too short. I thought we were actually going to write actions and write tests for our actions, but silly me. But we're all learning things. I learned things, you learned things. It's great. I will put the recording up.